This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good morning. It is 10 o'clock. We're here for our general discussion budget meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Should I make a motion? Is there a second?
I second it.
And second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're here for just a general budget discussion, so anyone can start us out.
I'll kind of start. I emailed you guys a couple items that I found from last week. Just was it Elder Bridge? I think that was like 9808.
You were correct.
Right?
You were correct. I
That,
circled the wrong thing on mine.
Yep. And then we had a question on I believe it was 14,000 from the rural basic. Our insurance and what it was used for, so we hadn't used it the last couple of years. We've tried, and I'm gonna try working with our auditors, to build up that, so when HSA gets taken out of our paychecks, if anyone's on HSA, or not out of paychecks, out of which fund it comes out of, it's like 24,000. So the question was, how does money get put into the 24,000? And what had been done in the past was money was taken from rural basic and general basic, kind of based upon the percentage of employees that were paid out of each of those. And then we dumped kind of a large chunk in there, and then it takes 2-3 years to, I don't want to say clear out, but get used up. So that's what that 14,000 was. I want to say there's like 23,000 in there right now. If we do that, we would probably want to take some out of general basic as well, but, so that number wasn't on there. It's right under like, Melissa's safety coordinator. It's on page 5 of the 99s. Is that 0? So that's the only one that I guess would be a question. And then I did get the reports to print. I don't have my computer yet, but I can send those to you guys after the meeting. Our carryover balances are looking good. I don't think there was any of them that screamed for help, I guess you'd say.
Do you have you might not at this, percentage of your carryover as of right now?
Yeah, I can email that to you. And then I was gonna verify with, the auditors too, what they recommend, just because I see a lot of other counties. I know it's been brought up that ours is kind of low at times, so just to see what percentage we would be at. To be, I don't wanna say comfortable, but so it's not extremely tight like it has been a few times, yeah.
That'd be good.
I mean, and she does work with enough solutions counties too, so she recognizes it too, so. Otherwise, so with the carryovers that I've done, I had put in, the library, economic development and the fair board in the funds that they would normally be paid out of. So those are all, I'm gonna say back in the budget versus how this year we're paying them out with that internal external loan. And then after I verify with her, we could also probably talk about Rich's transfer to see what she suggests for the carryover number, and you could adjust that from the rural basic. And you might be able to also from the general basic, but
The general's at 75 and the rules at 83.
83, yep. And so, I mean, you could tweak them just a little bit and see. But otherwise, I didn't know if there's anything else that you guys thought that we,
So what about, and I don't know how this works, I guess, so each year, secondary roads, Rich, Sheriff's Department, Greg, talk about if they don't spend everything, it comes back, can we,
So it just stays in there, the funds that they had it in, if that makes sense.
so we couldn't adjust the carryover balance was, like, keep an eye on it up through June-ish and if they have $1 million, between the two of you, yeah, can we enter that into the general fund?
So a lot of Greg's stuff is in the general fund. Rich's you wouldn't be able to, and his is kind of a funny budget base, and maybe you could explain more, but some things that he's supposed to expense this year might not happen until after July 1st, so sometimes his budgets look, I don't wanna say funny. but
harder to track because
Yeah.
of the fact that he's carrying projects from,
And
large projects from year to year.
Yeah, so his I wouldn't wanna mess with, but
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
think his carries over in our general. and
no,
rural-
he has his own fund.
Yeah, his stays with
Yeah.
him,
Within
Okay.
his budget.
correct.
My question, I guess, would be if there is a larger carryover than we predicted, can you adjust what the transfers will be? I would like to think you could. You'd have to do a budget amendment, but does that make sense?
So
So if, like, let's say we are predicting a 25% carryover and things don't get expensed as they were expected to this year, and now all of a sudden you have a 32% carryover. That 7%, could you add that on to Rich's transfer then?
do you remember when his transfers are?
Yeah, November and May.
So you'd have to know that, you wouldn't be able to know, if I can say it right, you'd have to know,
Relatively soon.
yeah, because once June turns into July, we're in our new budget.
Right.
And you'd have to, and so it wouldn't work for the November transfer because we're already in our new budget.
But
So-
could you do an amendment? It's, a budget amendment.
Yeah, I'm not against that, I'm just trying to think of the timeline of how you would make it happen with the months of the transfers and
Yeah.
when you need to do that.
So we have to have something set in. I don't wanna say stone, soon, so we can get everything published. But if we, I don't want to say it, I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just, if there was, because at the end of June, we do month end, quarter end, year end. And like on those reports, you'd see, I know this number's not exact, but like supervisors, your budget's 300,000, you guys only spent 230,000 or something. So you have 70,000 that was not expected as a carryover. Could that money be transferred then to Rich?
Okay.
In his transfer, you'd have to go through a whole process of doing budget amendment and whatnot.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. There's another thought on that though too, that we didn't get hit with the state formula this year because in our valuations, I thought you said it were maybe around 1%, 1.5%.
Yeah, it's just over 1%.
Okay, so next year is when we're going to have the biannual or whatever, every 2 year, so it might go up significantly next year. Put us into that formula where now we went back up to the 3.5, it might hammer us down like it did last year. So with a carryover balance, I like roads, but rather than transferring it into roads, we might need that carryover balance in order to stay healthy in the next fiscal year.
Across the board.
Yes.
Right. Rather than funneling it directly into one budget or another.
That's thinking of a budget ahead of what we're actually doing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
So we know that we're at where we're at, right? You just said the state didn't hit us with that. Did we get something and did?
So
Something?
they do equalization, the budget thing. So the House File 718, it goes with your valuations. And then there's equalization years every other year, so those happen in odd years. So this year will be a year, 2025 will be, we just finished the valuation that were done for 24. So the big adjustments usually happen in those odd years. If there's going to be, last year, I think we had like a 9% growth. Yeah, or something, and we were held to the 3%. So that's why we got it. So if that were to happen again, then it could kick us, I think what he's saying is it'd kick us back to potentially, I think we're at like 3.38,
3.7 or yes, right?
something,
Yeah,
odd number.
so if it happened again next year, then that carryover balance might be beneficial to utilize to help with what we've got going on.
So the odd year is when your budget's due or finished? You know, 'cause we always have odd and even to start with. Like this is
So,
24, 25. So then 25, 26 would be the year we might get hit?
so the way it'd be 25, 26, because when they do valuations, they do it based upon like calendar year. So assessors did it for 2024 calendar year. So right now they're doing their write-ups, I think they call them, for fiscal year 25. And so then that's gonna be, I think we find out in August through September sometime if there was an equalization order or not. Then that's what will adjust for the valuation. That
For next year.
25, 26, yeah.
For 25, 26.
Yep.
Can I step back for a second? So you said you've right now at this point budgeted the library, the economic development, and the normal, what we're calling the normal fair budget. I would assume that's the 35,000
Yep, so I put them back
into
in
the
there,
regular
the regular funds, yeah.
funds.
I have a question, something unless we want to talk about that or something different or
No, I was
just, no?
yeah.
Okay. In regards to the courthouse payment, we got page 11 and page 12. Pretty much at the bottom of both of those. So is that a 590 or 596, Rachel?
590,
590, okay. So have we entered that twice? Because the 590, I think, is the full, isn't it? And then if we entered the 296,
that's half of it, yeah.
so have we entered it twice?
So it's on there twice, yes.
So if we were to take it strictly out of, page 11,
Mhm.
we could get rid of the 296, or if we're gonna still use some local option sales tax for it, we could cut the page 11 in half. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. I just assume use it out of the tip if we can, and then keep our local option healthy for internal loans and doing stuff, but okay, I just wanted to make sure it is entered twice, okay?
And we have done that before, correct? Taking the full courthouse payment out of TIF.
Like we did last year, didn't we, Rachel?
Because that is contractually under the renewal part of the TIF agreement, correct?
The courthouse.
The courthouse.
Yep.
So it shouldn't be on page 12 at all then, correct?
It can be. So because of how it's written, they used to
You
take
can
half the
jockey it
payment
either way.
out of local option. Another half out of TIF.
Okay,
That was set up originally because we had a
See
lot
where we're
of
at.
bonds because of the road
Right.
payment stuff that we did originally. So it kept, it helped the TIF account at that time, but things are healthier there than what they used to be. Would you say that's correct? Say that?
Mhm.
I mean, I know we did some stuff here recently, but
Yeah.
it's not like we have half a dozen geo bonds out there.
Right. Yep.
When is that due? When do you pay that?
Interest payments get made in by December 1st, and then the interest and principal are June 1st.
When do we have to have all this done, buttoned up?
I believe we have to have everything entered by March 15th. I think it's the day, and then as of March 16th, I believe, it could be maybe wrong on the date. That's when we can go in on the auditor side, and that's when all like cities and county have to be done, so then we can pull the information to send out those letters that are slightly confusing. And then it has to be 10 to 20 days, and then you can have your meeting. And then so that one's just for the max levy. Well, I don't know what the official term, but basically your max levy.
Yeah.
And then we have to have another meeting for the full budget.
And we'll
10 to 20 days
That'll be
after that.
Yep, I think it all has to be done then by April 30th.
April 30th is the complete deadline.
But we would like to have it a couple of weeks before the deadline, so.
So we don't
So
have
that
that.
you have
Hiccup
time to get
again.
everything entered in. and-
Ours really kind of sucks because we have 2 newspapers, because that's what the code says. And you have to send by Wednesday at 11 a.m. to be in the Michigan County Press News for the following Tuesday. So you like have to really kind of plan for it, and it's kind of messy.
So we need to make sure we're all done by March 15th, and maybe 10 days later, we need to do you have to put things into that letter that
Yeah.
goes out. And then our full budget needs to be done by like April 15th, right?
So I think last year we did, without looking at the calendar, our first meeting was that first Tuesday in April. And then it got, okay, it's still here. I think it might have been April 2nd. No, notice that's the wrong calendar.
as well.
And then I believe it was approved and we got in the papers on the 9th and 10th. And so I think we had it on April 23rd last year.
Yeah. But yeah, we definitely need another.
We just-
We did
we just
2 years
turned it
ago.
It's on, 25 is on the backside of that.
Oh, is it?
It is, you just have to go.
Okay.
Okay, so at least we know that the complete deadline is April 30th. I just want to make sure I have that written down.
I'll check
The
if she's not super swamped upstairs and just kind of try and get some numbers from her, what she recommends for carryover. Or what she sees other counties doing. Maybe that's a better way to put that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can shoot that over to you. Do you want me to do anything with the courthouse?
I'd like it out of the TIF account since they can handle it.
So, is anyone good with that?
I'm good with that.
I'll remove it from the local option. And then I have a couple other notes here. Did we hear anything about the Jaws of Life?
I contacted him, he's got back with, he has to do with the 28E agreement we have with him also,
Okay,
and, so no, there's not a confirmed answer.
okay. I'm gonna see also if Amy's heard anything on the pictometry. I think we're gonna be starting our new, I think it's like a 3-year agreement, so maybe I'll take all the aerial photos and see if she's got anything for that, to see what our portion will be, because I think the assessor pays half and we pay half.
Okay.
Just to make sure that that consultant service line is good enough. And then We talked, I emailed you on NACO, right?
Yes.
So I think getting kind of started there. I do still need to look at the IT charges at like 2,800, that was in 99s, to see if we can just move that to Ryan's department. If that's the case, that it's something that could come out of his and it's truly not a 99 item.
Is
Then I
that, what's that completely say?
Information tech services, information technology charges. I would guess it probably can go under IT if it's being charged to that.
Okay.
If that's the case, I'd take it out of this line and then add it to his line item, the same amount. I'll let you know about what I find there. Otherwise, I think that was everything that we talked about last time.
Did you put the telephone system in there? Or do we need to think about doing that if we want it?
So that's,
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think Ryan had put that in his budget.
Did, okay,
He did.
Yeah,
okay.
My question, I guess, would be if, I think it sounds like we're supposed to upgrade it anyways. I think that was in the ICIT report, if anyone remembers. I can't remember fully.
yeah, he made a comment about that when I visited with him the other day
Yeah,
too, that
that-
it desperately needed to be updated.
I think we should maybe push to see who we want to go with. If it was to go through the one that we already got a quote through, I think it's only good for so long because they have a promo right now on the phones. So the phones are basically free and that's why it's so cheap.
Do you have any other quotes?
I don't, because I don't know who to contact.
That's fine.
I just went to the one that we
Agenda.
currently have.
We put that on agenda next week.
Okay.
It'd be an action item and should happen at a board meeting, so.
Put that on the agenda for next week.
Yeah.
Ask Ryan if he has any more quotes.
Or who we can, I mean, I can contact someone, but I don't even know who to contact for that stuff.
I guess if that's a quality, somebody has to determine if that's a quality system and the price is right. It's like, well, it's a good deal, I guess.
And I don't know how the whole IP thing works. I tried to figure out the cost currently of what we're paying for everyone and then what the cost of that would be. I want to say we were at roughly $600 that would pay for phone for everyone now. And then with that, I think it came out, it was like $823 or something. So it's about a $200 a month difference. But if it's related to all IP, then I'm guessing that the cost of that will probably be on all of them is a little bit more expensive, but I don't know that for sure.
It seemed to me like that quote was low when you're considering IT and phone systems.
It seems,
It seemed low to me. I just, knowing the cost of,
And if you want
technology
him-
updates of that nature, I was surprised. So I'm leery, let's just put it that way.
From my understanding, and he'd be way obviously better than gentleman, Jason. I think it's an unplug from where it's at and put it into a different plug, basically, because I think everything's okay with what we already have.
But the lines, it's just a matter of the system itself and how they're functioning or working it, the phones.
Do you want him to present to you guys to understand that more?
Yes.
I don't think that would hurt to hear.
I think it might not be a bad idea to get a better understanding,
Okay.
especially if we need to move rather quickly on that budget item. I would think that in order to reap some savings.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's an inevitable move and as we clean up some issues with IT, that might be one of those priority type issues.
The question I have now, and hopefully I will remember it when he presents, is this a box sale, like what JCI, Johnson Controls does with the link system, okay? Here's the stuff, Venture County, you put it all together, you plug it in, you do everything. So is this a box sale where, okay, here's all the
I don't
phones,
think
plug them
so.
in, or we program them for this money too?
I think that's all.
Is there some service provided as far as the
I could be wrong,
technology?
but I know he's kind of talking about maybe one of the techs. I believe they come and do all that.
Okay.
I could be wrong. So I wrote that down too.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I probably mentioned to Ryan, if he looks for somebody else or get another quote, that you're gonna have, is it Jason you said?
Mhm.
Come next week, right?
I'll see if he's available to come. Yeah.
So that Ryan knows that, you know, if the other company wants to present too, that
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
kind of give him
Yep.
the heads up.
We can do that.
If we're taking of the three departments, I'll just call them that, if we're gonna take them out of the general fund like we did 2 years ago, like the normal way. Does the board want to consider doing anything for the historical society as far as helping them with their building?
So in light of that, a little discussion on that, I've had been contacted by several individuals, asking about, the rather extensive cost of the new facility at the fairgrounds. And if that's the case, then, maybe this first year after this is getting built, why we would fund a full $35,000 to the fair board. So I'm gonna throw that question out. And, I'm a huge supporter of the fair, have been since I was a kid, and have helped build facilities there. And some of the ones that they just tore down, actually, that's how old I am. But I've had that question posed to me by some folks in my district, and had some concerns and questions raised, over the fall and over the summer, regarding that. So I think here, what I'm hearing is that, was there enough efforts raised or put forth to raise some additional funds and grants? And I guess that would be one of my questions is, do we need to fully kick out $35,000? Maybe we can shave that back just a skosh this first year and, put forth some funds towards your historical society. It's a stickler for a whole lot of folks, and I understand that. So I'm trying to be financially cognizant of the next budgets coming forth, and long-term issues, with roads, bridges, culverts, those kinds of things. So I'll throw that out on the table, and, just because they ask for it doesn't mean, and it doesn't matter whose department it is or what it is, it doesn't mean that we have to provide that full amount. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. And Todd, you're on their group.
Yeah, and I've had some discussions with some people too. Yeah, it's tough for me, but so the fair board, when they put that building together, they had 770,000. Well, as we went on, and that was no bleacher, that's no gates, blah, blah, blah. They kept coming back and saying, that's all we're asking for. They never rate, that's just what, for the building, basically, in the cement. So, right now, with their volunteer labor and equipment and everything, they still can't put that building quite together with, that's why I brought up about the bleachers. We're gonna use all of last year, or the other bleachers, because they don't have the money. With you saying that, Pam,
I'm just asking some questions.
no, you're good.
Yeah.
This was gonna come out of my mouth about 10 minutes ago. I think we have an entity that we could back off next year.
And that,
And that would be right now, I think they're counting on, because they got bills to pay, contracts to pay that, that has to be paid ahead of time.
Yep.
And I think they would be, say we do get put in a different situation next
Right.
year, I think they would be okay because they will have that building erected. They'll definitely gonna continue trying to raise funds.
Okay.
And put grants together, but I think they would be okay the following year that maybe, because that building should be it. They should be done at fairgrounds.
so you're talking 25, 26 instead of,
I guess my thought on it, that 35,000 is operating expenses that they use it for, it wasn't for the building. And if their budget sheet starts showing that they're having an excess of money at the end of the year, well then, yes, but if they're utilizing what they're getting from their grants, from everything they're doing, including us, it shows that they're putting something into the fairgrounds to improve the fairgrounds for the whole county that participates there. So rather than just think that, yeah, I think we can cut them next year, I would like to see what their financial situation is as far as what they've got going in and going out.
right,
Definitely.
right. And I think that we're all aware that, you can fill a budget. And what it comes down to is, you're talking fiscal responsibility for an entity that I totally fully support. And yes, people from this county and outside of the county and outside of the state for that matter, use that facility during that time frame. But it is a short time frame. And when you look at being able to generate some funds to help cushion that expense, that's where, I have a little challenge answering some questions about it. And so I'm just asking, would that be a possibility that, maybe we need to pull that back just a little bit and take a look at that?
When you say balance that expense, you're talking about the building, or you're talking about the operating expense of the fair in general?
So when you look at the budgets and the financing of any of the programs or departments that we assist in this county, we need to look at, or I look at, somewhat, you've got services, which the Fair Board is. It's a huge service, a huge advantage for youth and families, and without a doubt, it's a huge service that way. But we also still need to provide some fiscal responsibility. And, you look at my question is, what can that facility generate for the Fair Board's budget or the county outside of those few weeks? And I think yet at this point, I'm really I'm not hearing what that is or a number on that, an estimate. So in my mind, that should have been kind of laid out as part of that initial budget. Fine, we've got a $775,000 facility here. It serves a whole lot of areas in our community as far as people and trying to draw people into the county. And here's some ways that we can generate some additional funds over the next few years to help cushion that expense.
And I think that's wonderful and they elaborated to that they're going to look at that and figure out what they can do, which I think is legitimate. They need to do that.
Right.
So through this whole process, I've heard the thing about this building from people also, and how expensive it was, and how it only gets used for 4 days of the year, and it's a waste to build it because it's only 4 days of the year. So looking at it at that aspect, 100 years ago, people built a number of buildings down there to be used for 3 or 4 days a year. They realized that it was worthwhile to do that. If we have the mentality that we shouldn't be doing it because it only gets used for 4 days a year, we should just be setting up tents for 4 days a year and tearing them all down, because that's the economical way to do it. Just set up a tent because you only use it for 4 days a year. I don't buy into that argument that people say that, well, you shouldn't have built it because it's only 4 days a year. I want them to use it more 4 days a year, but you have to realize what's going on down there for those 4 days. It's a big deal. There's a
Right.
lot going on.
And I think you're preaching to the choir because, I am one of those individuals that built the sheep pens. My family and several of the sheep individuals went to the fair board and said, we need new sheep pens. We absolutely, we're growing. We have huge growth in our exhibitors and we need more sheep and goat pens. And the fair board said, we don't have the funds to do it. So we had to go out into the community and we got some donations from elevators, from hardware stores, from individuals, and got the supplies. And we physically came in, talk about your donation of labor. That's how a vast majority of those facilities have been constructed throughout the history. That's the way, and that's okay, because there's also an element of community spirit that supports that, that is how those things have been done. And I'm not arguing, we've already expended the money for the facility. That's, to me, that's done. That's a decision that was made as far as that's concerned. I'm just asking that maybe in the next year, we can take a look at, or Todd's idea is to wait a year and maybe back that budget off a little bit. Just, to see where we sit as far as our tax levies. I think we want to not come into an area where we're all of a sudden going, we don't have enough funds. Now we got to scramble. And I don't like being in that position. So I'm looking at it from the whole standpoint.
And I gotta add too that, I can't remember last night, I should have wrote, it's either 101 or 110 donations.
Right,
So that it's not like they're not going out and getting donations.
right. No,
And then you can't, and we talked
and
about
that's
this
good to
during
know, because they didn't really have that number the day they were here. And so that would have been good information to have.
But there's also the ones that give a couple $100 that you can't go back and ask them. They just won't give it to you. This is for the fair and the, say part of the building. But here was a discussion last night and I did not like it. I didn't say anything. I just sat there. And it just came to my mind talking about money. They're talking about the grandstands finding cheaper entertainment because it's like the tractor pulls, they're kind of expecting so much to when you win and the derby costs so much and the rodeo costs so much. They're not making money
No, I know.
on the grandstands events, but they're drawing the people in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can you imagine, and if they have to, they have to. I'm just kind of on that book. If they have to make ends meet, get rid of a county tractor pull demolition derby that's
Right.
drawing all these people, and I don't know, have a little kid's car race, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you don't draw the people to
Yeah.
the fairgrounds
No,
for the 4 days.
Yeah.
So there's one of the ECI tractor pulls, they don't care if they come here or not. This is the
Right.
farthest northeast or northwest they go. And So but that brings a lot of pullers and it brings a
Right.
lot of people
outside.
to come and watch and spend money. And they really talked about maybe not having them this year, about just the fair board put their own tractor pull together. Well, they're
That's
pretty
a lot.
busy.
That's a lot.
So anyway, we're kind of getting off, but I guess I think we should support them yet this year. And another thing about the building out to,
Historical Society.
the Historical Society, just remember, it has to be an economic impact to the county. And I believe it is, but the Historical Society has been very quiet sitting in the CRC building. Not a lot of people knew it. So
Right.
they're gonna have to put something together, because we don't decide that.
Exactly.
I talked to you about that, they have to put something together that it's a
Really push.
economical impact to Mitchell County. So it's gonna be, if, I don't know if they can put the steam engine show, do all that, I don't know how that works. But,
You raise a good point about the grandstands, which is one of the reasons I asked, do you have those numbers? And maybe they'll, get back to us with those. Because that's super important, because right now, because of the way the open gates are at the county fairgrounds there, you couldn't get a handle on those numbers as far as that's concerned. So my thought process is the only thing they can really tally is that grandstand events, or if the carnival people can provide some data, as far as that's concerned. The safety thing that they conduct there, they conducted that at the fairgrounds for 40 plus years, So, and that's good. That's just another place where we have community activities that take place there,
and they did
So
raise
that's
their
awesome.
vendor fee, which with everybody wanting to come, that was the time to do it.
Right.
So,
And if
there'll be
they've
a
got a lot
little-
of them, that's good.
I
People will go
think
just to
went from
eat.
150 to 200, so it takes a lot of $50 to gain
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands, but
Okay.
it needed to be done.
So we talked at length in regards to the fair, and as you said, it's something that's already been funded. But my initial question was, do we want to help the Historical Society out with their building?
So I guess my response to that is, when you're talking about helping the Historical Society for the amount that they're asking, you would be looking at some sort of TIF funding, I would imagine. And therein, they would need to contractually, we have to set it up that for the economic development side of,
You'd have to do like we did last year, every year you have to have a
Right.
amendment to your economic development plan, and so it would be done that way, yeah.
Show, like Todd said, show that it's an economic development.
right,
I would be in favor of, not the dollar amount, but I would be in favor like what we did to the Maple Inn. I would like to close their gap. And then they would still have to continue on, grants and I guess we would probably have to decide what that number would be.
The one comment I have in regards to the turbine money and using it through TIF is that and I've said this before in meetings, but in some of these things, it's said that they should go out and get donations from the people to do some of this stuff, and that's okay. But the turbine money is already the people's money. It's already there to be used to improve the county. So to me, it's a hard sell to go out and ask you for $500 when the turbine money is your money. It's all of our money. And so that's where I think it should be used to improve things in the county. So going for grants, by all means, get as much money you can from grants. Get as much state money as you can get coming in here. That's fantastic. Get stuff from other counties if you can. That's a hard stretch, but in regards to what people say, well, you need to be knocking on doors and getting money from individuals. The server money already is all of our money, so that's just a comment on that.
So they still need 971,000. Is that what they wanted?
Yeah, wasn't it 9 something that they were looking for?
Just a hair over, it was 1.2 or
It
something.
says balance due on building 971,670. Their total expenses for the year is 1.1, and their revenue is only 297, so it'll be in the hole for 819.
And they're open more than 4 days a week.
They hope.
Or a year, excuse me, more than 4 days a year.
Oh, yeah, I'm not, I think as far as, service to outside people and service to our community and opportunities to grow and enhance things within our county, and it's our history. So
I think once they get like a bus route, like they said, and charged to come into the museum, that would help them out a lot.
Yeah.
For their expenses, and once those, get it out on Facebook and see how much they put into this.
right, it's gonna take a big push.
Their traffic will
Yeah.
change, whereas at the CRC, it was,
Yeah.
to me, it wasn't a great location. If I take my kids to the CRC or whatever, it's, oh, no, pool.
Yeah.
Not go upstairs and look at the
Right,
historical society, and that was kind of a hard spot in my mind. But
I wonder if people will, I was concerned when they said that they might charge at the gate at the door. I wonder if people will actually pay to go there and see it.
oh, yeah, Ben and I, we take the kids to like,
or even a
Factor
free will
places.
donation type thing.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
have
More that.
more of
Yeah.
an inclination these days to, to give to those organizations or those groups.
I can see that.
And I think, if they, for sure would want to,
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
urge a free will donation type of thing. And I agree, you can't keep going back to the same people to, for funds for whether it's the Fair Board or the Historical Society or the, some type of health related thing. As far as that's concerned, that,
Oh, just a question, so something we need to think about.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
I had a concern on the emails we got about Amanda yesterday.
Yes.
I talked to Judy Hamaker, our insurance. She was gonna call Brent Henders. He's the attorney at the county hires through that.
through Heartland.
Yep. And he does employment practices. And he said to go ahead and pay her this time, but he said either the chair or the county attorney has to send her a letter saying that if she's on maternity leave, she cannot be doing her job.
Okay.
So either one of you two have to send her a letter saying that she can't come back till she's back from maternity leave.
I will sit down with Erin. Thank you for that information.
Otherwise, if she does, then it gets insubordination and all kinds of
Yes.
harsh stuff, so.
Yeah,
For liability reasons, that she cannot come back.
I was gonna see to put that on the agenda for next week if we needed to vote on it, but it's consensus. Pay her this time.
Aaron said we should
Okay.
do that.
Yeah, it's a tough call, but, yeah.
We'll let Lindsay
definitely
know
never
and then
win.
I'll get a hold of Aaron and we'll talk about it. Does that sound good?
That'd be easier here than, yeah, I want to do open meeting violation and get charged for that.
Thanks for looking into that. That's.
Yeah.
Cause my thought was, I've worked at jobs where to get called in 15, 20 minutes to fix the problem, you get paid 2 hours, so I didn't even take it to the maternity leave point. I thought, well, if she got called to do something, she did it, pay her and move on, but I did not think of that being on maternity leave, so I totally get that now, liability reasons.
Right. Typically, when you're on an FMLA leave like that, they really frown on any kind of,
I don't know why she took it on herself to just actually just work. If she should have checked with the chair or the
Yeah.
board as far as.
or if that's the case,
Well,
it's,
I don't
it's
know,
donating time.
don't know why I'm doing any of her job if she's just gonna come in, so.
Yeah, the donated time thing, I've had this
Yeah.
conversation with
Yeah.
her that, Amanda, you are your department head. If you had an employee or two underneath of you, I could see where they would expect to be paid all the time. But you are your department head. And because of that, you should, and she does take ownership in her department, she
Oh,
does.
yeah,
But you also need to take the ownership side in that I don't have to get paid for every single thing I do. If I get a phone call at night, I should be able to do it without getting paid. This is another example. To me, you're the department head. Yeah, you probably should have worked it for an hour, just did it, and just did it.
Yeah,
So
I-
I don't
Yeah.
really know what happened with that deal.
Okay, anything else?
so you are her backup now until she comes
Yeah,
back. So if we were gonna try to find out where we sit with that whole, moratorium situation,
I can't,
you can't do,
I
you
can't
can't
do-
ask that question.
she did not give me anything unless it was related to building permits. That's the only thing she gave me to do while she was gone. So I don't have access to her email, her phone, her office.
Okay.
Nothing.
No, and I'm just,
So-
No,
you're fine.
which raises a question, because,
No, you're fine. So-
I'm coming from a different slant there as to what is our backup plan, for not just that position, but,
I respect your comment in regards to doing this now, I really do. But I also think that this is not part.
Yeah.
This is not part of what we're supposed to be doing
Right.
here. And
right, oh, absolutely.
So-
I just,
Anyways,
I'll leave it at that.
yeah, my question was just on the backup side.
okay, we are done. Anything else?
I want to just reassure myself through, well, everybody in Wage Hill. At the end of this meeting, we're basically saying we're gonna plug in all the donations, all the everything,
Everything
and
that we
see
have.
where we're at, right?
Yep.
Then I'll get that report sent to you guys.
Okay.
It sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
all.
where we're at right now. All right. I think we'll adjourn at 10:53.
Thank you.
Not taking any more questions. Comments.